And joining us now on all the latest news out of Washington, former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is now chairman of the Alpha Institute. We're back in. It was weird because just last week, and welcome, gracing us on the set. Welcome. Just last week, I was saying if Warsh is in the lead in the prediction markets, then I would say that dispels some of the concerns about a Fed chair that's just in the tank for the president, because Warsh is an independent thinker. So I said maybe we don't need to worry about. Santelli agreed with me that maybe the hair on fire loss of Fed independence, maybe we didn't, so we didn't have to worry about it. That was rekindled in spades. Now it's exponentially higher after this. But the market closed up yesterday. So we have been going back and forth I'm making the argument that common sense and cooler heads were bound to prevail here, that this is not the way necessarily to get what you want in terms of monetary policy, and that is, by sort of bludgeoning or blackmailing the Fed chair to do what you want.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about whatever staff thought this was a smart idea, it's not playing out the way they thought it, because there's enough people on both sides of the aisle who think Powell has not done a good job, too slow in action and movement. But now it's united people around him. It's going to make it a little harder when it comes to confirmation hearings. It's going to raise different questions.
Tom Tillis has to sign off on things, and he
Tillis
said he
has
won't.
nothing to lose.
Right.
He's not. He's already made that statement. He's not running for re-election.
Yeah. And Jay Powell may decide to stay just instead of leaving.
Okay, so Jay
feels like he has to.
As chairman, he's out in May, but his term as a governor is to January 31st of 28.
Right.
So it's not having the outcome that you want. It's not having the debate that you want. Look, nobody's above accountability. I get that. You're spending too much. People look at that. And if this whole election is going to be based on the economy.
But a criminal inquiry?
Yeah, it does. It doesn't play. But if you look, Bassett didn't like what happened here.
Right.
President said he didn't know about it or didn't have anything to do with it. A staff could have taken action.
Well, okay.
Trying to appease him based on what
let's talk about actual sources that the Journal was citing here, and it's an opinion piece, but they're saying that, we saw the president visit the building with Jay Powell, and he was, up in arms about it. They both had, a hard hat on, but then it kind of went quiet. The Journal says its sources tell them that Bill Pulte got into Piro's ear, thinking he could curry more favor. And the Journal's not very nice to Bill Pulte. Says one particularly eager toady is Bill Pulte. That got into Piro's ear. Piro then goes to Pam Bondi, who's already in hot water, according to the Journal. So she's all too willing to do something that maybe they think Trump would like to do. Although the Journal points out this would be the first time any of this stuff has happened without President Trump knowing what was going on.
They're not doing the president any favors there, but the president handled it the right way. When he was concerned about the building, what did he do? He went to tour the building with Jay Powell and Senator Tim Scott. And then you heard it kind of go away afterwards, but he raised the questions, he raised the accountability.
Jay Powell was looking at him when he was saying some of the stuff when they were there. You saw the video. The president was saying things, and Jay Powell was going, what are you talking about?
Yeah, but you got that all out in the air. That's how you do accountability. That's how you do hearings. It wasn't doing some probe into it that was criminal or anything else. That's how the president handled it. I thought that was right. But now we've moved on. The economy is so critical in this election. We've watched the economy grow better than anybody thought beforehand. He's gone through the tariff problem that people thought that didn't bring his inflation. He just had a very successful when you went down in Venezuela. I mean, everything is hitting in place. You do not want to have a hiccup that takes you off message on this. And I think what you said happened yesterday. Yeah. Calmer heads will prevail.
And we know that the president is the chief whip of the Republican Party. We know that. Any other whip is. But I made the point that there have been plenty of times, and articles written about me that, oh my God, the Trump loyalists are finally breaking with it. And I've seen it in the past year. I've seen it 6, 7, 8 times. This didn't happen to be the most egregious time when Republicans break. And of course, I made the point that, in the last administration, did any Democrat ever say that Biden was a potted plant in the White House? Did you ever hear that while it was happening? I mean, Brian Stelter even came up with cheap fakes, not deep fakes, when he's stumbling along the beach, that was like a fake video or something. Look, parties don't break with the guy in charge.
They're not,
typically.
and President Trump is at a stronger position than I think even Ronald Reagan was at any given time. We have not seen a president with this type of power since Roosevelt.
He is the chief whip. I mean,
he is more than the chief.
And at your own peril,
Yeah.
break with him.
Look,
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
well, you don't just get it, you have to earn it. I can make arguments all different ways, but if you want to catch up with China, if you want to do something about critical minerals, this Congress was not going to do anything. He has moved us forward. He has reset the world stage when you look at how he dealt with Iran. If you watch from the Middle East, if you watch from the settings of ending these wars, if you watch what he did on the border, I think that is very successful, and you never would have been able to do that if you sat around and waited for Congress.
Kevin, it's coming back to me. There were times where you tried to step away from certain things that the president was pushing at your own peril, too. I can remember some specific instances.
The way
and you came, you got back in the fold, but you were out of the fold at times. It happens to everyone.
I think the way people, how I deal with President Trump is talk to him directly. And when people just sit and say no, he's going to find another way.
What was it about? Do you remember what I'm talking about specifically? What were you in the doghouse for? You don't want to go.
What I would say, look, we have difference of opinion.
You're not going to tell me. You're not
Wait a second. I have AI. Look it up.
Look it up. What? Yeah.
There's difference of opinion when it comes to January 6th. There's difference of opinion.
That's right. It was January 6th.
But these are healthy, and this is the way I look at President Trump. I want to have a very honest discussion with him, and I have it directly with him.
Yeah.
And the thing I like about where he is not so rigid in one certain way. What I always ask him is, what do you want to achieve? There's other ways to achieve it. Make your case for it. If he thinks it's better, he'll say go that way. And as I am a leader of the party.
Nope, that's not it.
There's another one?
There's more.
There's many more.
McCarthy breaks with Trump over lynching comments, over January 6th, over on
See, this supposedly never happened ever before in the history.
But it's healthy, and the president breaks with other parties. People have different.
What about Greenland? What's he want? Do you think that this is going to be the same situation with Greenland, that people are going to go, Mr. President, Denmark, they're longtime allies. They went with, whenever we've needed Denmark, they've been on our side. We don't need to. Do we need to do this?
There's always style and where people go, but Europe was upset with Trump of how he would deliver and say, you've got to spend more on defense, otherwise Putin's going to invade you. You know what? He was right about that. Merkel was wrong. She dealt with Putin more and got more dependent upon him. What he's really doing is resetting the world stage. You're allowing Russia and China to get into a critical area that is going to weaken the entire world. Right. He's reset Latin America with us. He's made Iran not the power in the Middle East.
Can you stay with us? Andrew's not here, but he definitely wants to talk to you. So he wants to talk to you, but we got to get some JPMorgan.
Okay.
JPMorgan's actually out with its fourth quarter results. Leslie Picker has those results, and she joins us right now. Hi, Leslie.
Hey, Becky. Yeah, going through these results right now, I see for EPS, the company reporting $5.23 per share. That is excluding the impact from the Apple Card, which impacted EPS by about 60 cents per share. You can see shares up about 1% on these results. Top line was a beat, coming in at $46.767 billion. Analysts were expecting $46.2 billion for EPS. Net income, $13.025 billion. That was down about 7%. Investment banking fees down about 5% year over year and 11% quarter over quarter. Looking at net charge-offs again, that was impacted by that Apple Card forward purchase, which resulted in about a $2.1 billion reserve build here. Book value per share in the quarter coming in at $126.99 per share. In the release, we have some commentary from Chairman and CEO Jamie Dimon, who said the U.S. economy has remained resilient. While labor markets have softened, conditions do not appear to be worsening. So, some kind of optimistic commentary there. Meanwhile, consumers continue to spend and businesses generally remain healthy. These conditions could persist for some time, particularly with ongoing fiscal stimulus, the benefits of deregulation, and the Fed's recent monetary policy. However, as usual, we remain vigilant, he says, and the markets seem to underappreciate the potential hazards, including from complex geopolitical conditions, the risk of sticky inflation, and elevated asset prices. So shares up about 2% on these fourth quarter results right now, continuing to dig through the release, and we'll let you know what we find, guys.
Very interesting. Leslie, especially those comments from Jamie Dimon, we're always eager to hear his views on both the economy and the markets. So the economy looks good, but the risk manager in him still sits up and pays attention. Geopolitical conditions, the risk of sticky inflation, like you mentioned, that's a really interesting one, too.
The Dow's now.
Yeah, exactly.
Pre-market, it was down.
Well, JPMorgan's up 1.75%.
That's why I said it.
That's the big deal for it, right? Leslie, thank you.
All right, back to former House. He's here. He tried. Did you see him get up and try to sneak out? Yeah, tried to.
Oh my God.
No, he really didn't. All right, here he comes. All right, Andrew.
Where is Andrew, by the way?
Who knows?
So
I'm in your chair today.
And thank you for keeping it warm. My question for you, actually, coming off of these earnings that we're talking about from JPMorgan, one of the other sort of major debates is some of the moves that the president has made around things like trying to cap the rates on credit cards, trying to limit buybacks, trying to limit dividends. I mean, things that when Elizabeth Warren was talking about, the Republican Party was having a heart attack about, and now seems to be just fine with. Where are you?
No, I think what this is Trump's way of negotiating. I believe the credit cards are going to be, because does he have the power, the jurisdiction to be able to do that? I don't think he does. I think this is going to be like how he got the pharmaceutical prices lower. It's a little different because the government has greater control over where you're spending on pharmaceuticals, but he's probably going to get these credit cards to come in and say, yes, they're going to lower some rates. His whole focus is get this economy moving. His negotiation style is different, but his outcome, it actually works many times. That is what he's focused upon, and I think that's where you're going to continue to see this move.
Andrew, while Leslie was talking, we were obviously out of one ear. We were listening very closely, but we were also talking to Kevin. And we brought up those caps. It's like, what is this? And actually, I brought up the no buybacks or dividends and crappy salaries. Let me ask you, though, is defense different? If they're behind on projects, and if they're not doing what they need to do to supply the United States with what it needs, in that case, would a Republican say that the executive branch telling them what to do with executive pick? Is it okay in that case?
Okay, but you're not giving the full story of what President Trump did. And this is where he's very smart. Okay, so he goes in and says, I don't want any more buybacks. You can't pay the CEOs as much. He's trying to get their attention. In the exact same day, he goes, I want to spend $1.5 trillion on defense. So what he's doing is a Reagan moment. I don't want 3 people to get all the money, and you're too slow. I need Silicon Valley in. I need like the Andrels. It just so happens next week I'm going to announce I'm joining the board of a brand new defense company that will take public later in this year. But it's a smart way to do. You need more suppliers in this. We need to be able to build these weapons faster, cheaper. You've watched the Secretary of War. Where is he today? Yesterday he was at Lockheed. He was out in L.A. before, going to Divergent and others. These are new tech companies redoing our military. And you watch what happens in Venezuela. Nobody else can do that.
Dividends and buybacks don't go to 3 people. They go to the shareholders.
It's getting their attention. It doesn't have what he's wanting to do is, look, I'm going to put a whole new pot of gold over here, but I'm not just going to give it to have you keep doing what you're doing now because we won't get there. I need to shake you up and get your attention. That's his negotiation style.
Can I just ask a question about the shake it up, get your attention, just conceit? I get that's what he's doing, but I do think there's a lot of Americans that look at this approach as a shakedown, that so much of the way this administration often operates is around shaking people down, whether it's in the context of what seems to be happening with Jay Powell or in so many other instances, whether it was the law firms or some of the media companies. If there's something this president doesn't like, there is a shakedown. And most people don't want to say that aloud, but that's what's happening. And why is that considered acceptable?
I don't see how it's a shakedown in the defense world. No one's getting any money here. He's saying, I'm going to deny you the ability. I want to do more. I want to change the structure. Structure dictates behavior. So the judgment here is going to be, what is the final outcome that you're going to see from this? It's a different style of negotiation. How else are you going to shake Washington up? If you want to sit around and wait for the House and the Senate to act, they're not doing it. And he only has 1 term to go. So he's trying something different. I think people voted for a disruptor, and that's what he's doing. So at the end of the term, you could determine that. But if you look within the last year, he's done more in an accomplishments than people have been able to do in a whole term. So that style is working.
Oh, if you look at the effect, to the extent that he's effectuating the things he's said he wanted to do, he's doing it. He's doing it. The question is whether you think the American public likes the way he's getting there. And I think that's going to be a big question, I imagine, in the midterms.
With every great successful CEO, they have to upset the apple cart. There's people who are not going to like it because you can't be nice to everybody. You can't make it easier on everybody. And you know what? As a country, we can't sit back. And he has transformed. He has set the world in a different order right now, and it's been successful for America. People are going to be able to have a voice on Election Day. And yeah, some people will vote that they don't like maybe the personality in others. But the outcome, there could be a lot more people who say, yes, I will put up with that because I want something better to happen, and that's exactly what I voted for.
You got to go, huh?
I don't have to go. You kick me out.
I mean, we didn't get to talk about.
What else you want to talk about? I'll talk about anything you want to talk about.
Suddenly, the most important state in the union is Minnesota. Minnesota nice. I don't mean most important, but we talk about it all. You know,
no, the
immigration.
But Minnesota's going to go further because you watch the lack of accountability in Minnesota of how they've overspent the money. You go to look to California. This is going to be the death knell.
And you might know something about California.
But you look at Illinois. This is where Congress should be focusing. They should be doing the accountability there. They should be going out. They should be going down and celebrating the border. The president accomplished something that no one said he could do, and he did it pretty much on his own.
We didn't get to talk about whether you think Americans that voted for the president knew we do Venezuela, Iran.
Look, every president in the second term kind of focuses on international. He's done it much bigger than anybody else. You don't get the reward for that instantaneously in an election.
I think they're going to.
But you reset. When you talk generational changes, that's the generational change. You're playing for the history of the country itself.
I'm not saying they won't, because at this point things have worked remarkably well. I guess we got to go.
Yeah.
That's what happens to me all the time. Blank. No. It doesn't say anything improper. We'll be right back.